The media simply calls it the Doomsday seed bank because it will eventually store some 3 million different varieties of seeds. This then begs the question, why is the world's richest geek so interested in seeds? Could it be?
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry, be happy. In every life we have some trouble, but when you worry you make it double. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry.
Or, when the time comes, does helping to build a doomsday seed bank guarantee that the rich and powerful, like Bill Gates and everyone they care about, simply remain that, the rich and powerful? One also has to ask, will they have their own personal golden Wonka tickets for passage to the safety of underground cities? If so, what about the rest of us? Do we get golden Wonka tickets too? No, most of us will get something else. We'll get left behind, and crying about it is useless. It is better to accept that which you can confront but cannot change, so that you can focus on what you can do. That's the point of Marshall's motto. Destiny comes to those who listen, and fate finds the rest. So learn what you can learn, do what you can do, and never give up hope. And this brings us directly back to Self-Inform Your Mind's video on YouTube. The first truly big problem with Self-Inform Your Mind's video is that he does not cite the observatory or spacecraft used to acquire the images. In contrast to that glaring omission by Self-Inform Your Mind, Nibiru Shock 2012 did in fact source his images to the South Pole Telescope, or what we call the SPT, which is located at the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station in Antarctica. The critical thing to keep in mind is that regardless of what you know about Planet X astronomy, do not give any weight to images unless you're first given the name of the observatory or spacecraft that acquired those images. Now let's turn to the images presented in Self-Inform Your Mind's video. This is authentic imagery, but it represents a technological depth that is far beyond the means of amateur astronomers. To capture Kodak moments like these, you're talking about deep pockets astronomy. Therefore, these images were given to Self-Inform Your Mind by someone with high-level access to imagery. But what are we looking at? In the Self-Inform Your Mind video, we see one large object and a single satellite moving together. In Nibiru Shock 2012's video, we see as many as 7 objects moving together. In addition to the date and time, Nibiru Shock 2012's video also provides sequence numbers, which are redacted on the Self-Inform Your Mind images. One interesting similarity was the diagonal movement. To help illustrate that movement, we've created a sequence of images from Self-Inform Your Mind's videos using inverse video. In this sequence from Self-Inform Your Mind's video, we see the object and satellite move downward from left to right. As you can see, the star field behind this object is relatively stable and likely comprised of distant stars. So again, we come back to the omission of the name of the observatory or spacecraft that acquired these images. Without this information or any reference to a direction of observation, the manner of this diagonal motion makes no sense and is therefore inconsistent with the imagery provided by Nibiru Shock 2012. However, this sequence does illustrate the extreme magnification of these objects. This tells us that the stable background objects are many times farther away from us than the moving objects. Consequently, the only thing we can conclude from Self-Inform Your Mind's images is that they raise more questions than they answer. Once again, we come back to the goal of disinformation, which is to disrupt or paralyze a public debate by leading people down unproductive rabbit holes and by discrediting valid information sources. In this case, it is the planting of imagery through a well-meaning straw man that is authentic. But authentic of what? Frankly, the images offered in Self-Inform Your Mind's video could have been more credibly titled as something like "Massive Rogue Object and Satellite Observed Passing Beyond the Edge of Our Solar System in the Constellation Capricornus." So now that you've got all your playing chips and the rules of the game, are you ready for a little payback there, Self-Inform Your Mind? If so, go back to your official source, if you wish to call it that, and have a little sit-down. Show them this video and then see if they'll go back to the table. Whether they raise or fold doesn't matter. What matters is that you come back to YouTube to let everyone know what happened. If they fold and disappear, what does that tell us? It tells us that Planet X is something worthy of an expensive and elaborate disinformation effort. And isn't that valuable information too? Likewise, this test is a double-edged blade for you, Self-Inform Your Mind. That is because if you fold and disappear as well, then what does that say about you? And for everyone else watching this video, there are 3 things you need to remember. First, always be careful with wordplay. Don't fall for it. Second, when you see images, always make sure they're giving you the name of the observatory or spacecraft that acquired those images. And third, always remember the goal of disinformation. This is Marshall Masters for Yowza.com, inviting you to visit our site and read our detailed Planet X disclosure articles by Jaco Vanderwarp, Janice Manning, and Benjamin Cropley regarding the YouTube videos discussed in this program.